So making time for art is something that we have to create intentionally, because sometimes we may think, oh, I'm not an artist, or I can never make a business with my art, because we're not actually creating time for it. And yes, nowadays, whether you are a parent or whether you are single or, having work around, like a full-time job or whatever, you've got like family that you're taking care of, or dogs, or you've got your partner. It can take up a lot of time in our day if we reactively just let life happen. So sometimes it doesn't have to be a huge subconscious emotional issue why we are not living the inner artist or the artist that we are. And sometimes it's actually just about preparation work. And everyone works differently. And I have to say, for me personally, I work differently at different times of the year. I work differently every day. So it's a matter of questioning myself over and over again about what works for me today, right? But so one thing that has worked quite often for me, and that I've seen work for other people as well, is making time for your art. So creating the space beforehand. So what I notice is that if I have an idea I would love to create right now, what comes into my mind then is like, oh my God, I can't even, now I need to get out all the paints. Now I need to, prepare the workspace. I need to clean first. I need to get the brushes out. And all of that actually holds me back from creating right then and there. So what helps me is to then say, okay, maybe I don't create right now, but maybe I just create the space. Or maybe tomorrow I create the space so that when I get that impulse of I would like to create, it's already there. And that's actually what gets me to create in the end, if I prepare it step by step. So I might create the space where I put the paints, the canvas, everything around. I only need to sit down and pick up the brush and paint. But to some people, it might seem so simple to take out the paints and the brushes and the canvas and put it all there. But to me, and especially for neurodivergence, whether you are an ADHD or autistic or any other neurodivergence, then you might resonate with this. We have a lot of ideas, and we have a lot more attention that we're putting on so many things at once. It's actually not that we're lacking attention. It's that there's so many things that we are putting attention on that it goes so quick that we're using up more energy quicker. And therefore, it's very important that I've noticed, it's very important to kind of prioritize where to put the energy, where it's most important to put an energy, and also to not be hard on the self, right? Because it's so easy to then say, oh, I didn't get this done again, because it's so easy to put 101 things onto your list and just to add and add and add and feel like nothing ever gets done from that list, because you might get top 3 done, but you're not getting the 98 other things done in a day. And you always feel like you're losing. You always feel like you're losing the battle. And that is really, really unproductive, because it makes you feel like a failure every day. And I know this myself. I feel, and sometimes it still creeps up with me, and I have to just remember sometimes that, it's about prioritization. So I bring myself back to more prioritization, and to also have the rule of choosing 3 things a day. If I do more, great. If I do less, that's fine, right? But not to be hard on myself if I don't get 99 things done. To actually know that 3 things actually for me works really well, because working on one thing at a time is difficult for me to actually make it work. So if I have 2 things to work at the same time, or I jump between, that actually helps me to focus better. And there again, we have it that everyone works differently. So if you work better at concentrating when you have music on or when you have the TV on, that's your way of working. There's no one way of working or focusing. If you have two things you're doing at the same time, don't be hard on yourself, because you might get distracted to do this one thing. You were telling yourself to do that thing, but the other thing might give you some content and some juice for the other thing. So I think that's this thing of going with the waves of neurodivergence that actually goes quite well. But also, if we let it just reactively do its thing without having some sort of restriction and saying, okay, I do need to be the observer of what's happening. I can't just be reactive and flowing. To have that balance again, then, you know, all of it is working for its purpose. But I want to make sure that when I create time for my art, that I make it so in simple steps, and that they are simplified, and that I create the workspace before, so that when I do get the impulse, I can just sit down. So as I wanted to mention is that if, you know, you are creating time for your art, this might work well for you on some days, and it might not work well for you for others. But here I want to just share a few points that may help you to make time for art, so that you are actually going to be the artist that you want to be. Because unfortunately, if we don't make time for it consciously, then time will just pass, and then, yeah, we are not creating any art. So some of those tips are: prepare the workplace evening before, like lay everything out, and make it easy to just let, when the moment comes, to just sit down and just create, right? So if everything's lying there, then set the scene, perhaps put some music on. This really helps me as well. Maybe scented candles might be something that helps you. So as soon as, you know, your other senses are aroused or so, then, you know, it helps you perhaps to create as well and put you in the mood of it. Sometimes I do this when going for a run or something. If I don't want to go, I'll put music on into my ears, and then it gets me into the mode of actually, okay, I will run. And the same happens with art, for example. I just put music on, and then I'll get into the flow of just creating. So whatever brings you into the flow of creating, it might be going for a walk. If you're a writer, for example, you want to go for a walk to, you know, because it is proven that going for a walk does generate more creativity. So number 4 is, make the first brush stroke onto your canvas. So sometimes even like having the canvas in front, if we don't have an idea yet, or if we feel, sometimes it can feel now it needs to become something. So, you know, what's been quite good is just to create a random brush stroke onto the canvas, just to already break the ice between you and the canvas. So you're already one step in. And once you're one step in, it already helps you to continue, right? So also choose a time where you have most creative energy for it and space. So if you know that your energy peaks around 11 till 2 p.m., 11 a.m. till 2 p.m., then, you know, try to create the space around that and see what other changes you might need to do within the rest of your day for it to make that work. Then sometimes it's that thing of like, do you need to clean first? Do you not to? So if you are somebody like me and you love the creative mess, sometimes it's easy for me to put things around, and all of a sudden within just a moment, it's a huge mess again. And then sometimes that might go and be in the way for me to create. And then I tell myself, well, I want to create, but I want to have the space clean, because if I'm cluttered within, I don't feel I can properly create. And being cluttered within, very much for me, also has to do with the space around. So if the space around me is decluttered, I feel decluttered within. So sometimes I know that this may seem like an excuse to not create then and there. There could be some truth in it, but I also feel that I do not create as well. That I don't feel like I'm in the right space. And that could again have to do with neurodivergence, where, there's so much going on in the mind. The least thing you want is just to have the space clutter even more your mind. And because energy is felt as well, when there's lots of objects like lying around, you do feel the energy. You can feel that difference when you do clean it, how it feels. Again, this might not resonate with some of you, but this is something that I felt has been really useful for me to just say to myself, is this an excuse? No, it doesn't actually help me. And maybe on other times it might be an excuse. So, it's important to question myself, is this really an excuse right now? Do I really need this? And most of the time I do need to clean the space before creating. And it's just how I work best. And if that takes me to create the next day, then fine. So ideally I should have the place clean all the time so I can just sit down and do it, but it's just not reality. So don't feel like it's always procrastination, okay? Sometimes, these things do also exist. Cleaning the space does have an impact on us energetically. So, and then the 7th point is think about how you create at your best. So in order to create your art, do you do research before? Do you do some collages before? Do you pick a theme of your collection and start creating a collection first? Do you just do it just like that? What kind of painting or what kind of art do you do? And how do you use your potentials in the best way? So think about that first in order to then know what you need to get started and to just do it. So for me, it's a mix. I might have some artwork where it's just out there, just do it. I'm quite reactive in certain ways. It's quite expressive and quite in the moment. And I love that. But then there's other work that I also really love to create, which is more detailed, more realistic, kind of portraits or realistic kind of art. And I noticed that if I spend some careful time of creating the actual template, for example, that I use, like whether I create a collage first on Photoshop and then create the painting afterwards, then I'm able to create something that I'm more connected to. Because I have it very easily for me just to create something really quick, and I enjoy that too. But I noticed that to get the most out of me, sometimes I might like to do a little bit of thinking about it, and also to think about the whole overall theme of the whole collection, because it gets me excited. And when it gets me excited, I get more into flow. And if I just randomly just go by day, which I used to do very much, and just create something, then yeah, I might be enjoying it, but I also get, I might get uninterested very quickly because I'm not as invested and as interested in this. So sometimes I know that doing a little bit of research and thinking about the project, it feels more meaningful to me. If it feels more meaningful to me, then then you will see that in the artwork and in the quality of it. And then in the other moments, it's more of a, creating, like really just putting my feelings into it and throwing everything in there. And then that's the other point. So how do I feel and what do I need in order to create what I'm asked to create right now? So ask yourself that. How do you create? What do you need to do in order to make whatever you're asked to do right now the thing? Does it need to be like a really quick sort of thing, or do you do more research? Yeah, so I hope that that this will help you to create more time for your art, so that you are actually doing the art and creating it and being the artist you were born to be, and not wonder anymore, are you an artist or are you not? Because you are.